What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the Dead Space Remaster will be announced in 2021. So this is something very interesting. This is something that I think, honestly, has a lot of potential to happen. This is also, by the way, start of a new series. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can so I don't bore you guys. But I do want to talk about literally dozens, if not 50, 60, 70 games that are rumored, that are possible, that are not possible. Any kind of game that you guys want me to talk about, I want to make a video on regarding 2021. So this is about Dead Space. The next video of the day is actually going to be on Prototype. So I want to do it on loads of games. If you guys have any suggestions for games that you want to see me talk about, let me know in the comments, and I will get to as many as humanly possible. While I'm here, make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. If you guys want to follow our Twitch channel, brand new, we're doing some great things over there. I'm really honestly having a ton of fun. Make sure you guys follow it. It's the first thing you'll see in the description below, okay? And the name on Twitch is Podcast Now. You could look it up there if you wanted to. All right. So I recorded this after I recorded the prototype one that you guys will see, ideally after this. So it's all backwards. But for this, I'm feeling a whole lot more confident in talking about it. I'm feeling not even just that. I'm feeling a whole lot more confident in the fact that I think it's possible. I think it's really possible that we get this. Look, we're obviously with that Callisto project, which by the way looks absolutely incredible. Like that is the Dead Space 4 we'll never get. Okay, I think that's something I think just a lot of people need to wrap their heads around, right? I think actually everybody pretty much gets it. So that obviously from the makers of Dead Space or from some of the original makers, right? Not everybody, but we have that. Now, EA, which is the owners of Dead Space, that's the hard thing, right? Is EA owns this. And, in order to make this game, in order to make any game in the Dead Space, franchise, you need EA's permission, or EA needs to give it to you, or whatever needs to happen, okay? Now, Mass Effect Remaster is or Legendary Edition, okay, that's the name, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, is the best thing you can look at for hope. If you want to believe that we can get a Dead Space Remaster, you need to look at Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I truly do believe that. And I think that it's going to prove to EA that these kind of things are wanted. Now, I think they did like the Need for Speed Remaster, but for the most part, they don't really do these remastered collections almost at all. Now, last time I said that, somebody else brought up another game, maybe over the summer or last year or something like that. I think they've done it once or twice before, but they rarely do it. For the most part, they do reoccurring series, right? They do stuff like that. They don't go back and do things like this. The Legendary Edition of Mass Effect is a step in what I would look at as a positive direction. Now, the issue is BioWare is still there. The people that made these Mass Effect games, sure, like the individuals, some of them have left, some of them have stayed, some of them, whatever. And some of the studios are still around, but like, BioWare is still standing, okay? The team that made Visceral Games is gone. It's completely wiped out, which is one of the most tragic stories, I believe, in all of gaming, right? But that's the situation. So to make a Dead Space remaster, you would need to give it to just a studio. EA would need to have a studio somewhere out there that would be tasked with making it. But I truly do think it's possible. I don't know. I could just say that I think it's possible about 50 times and just fill up the entire video. But in reality, I don't know. I think the Mass Effect, collection is the beginning of them. I would struggle to say getting it because, of course, you can look at it as, like, maybe they just want to start pumping out things, right? Maybe they say, okay, well, we want Dead Space, and we want this, and we want that. Just start making, like, 50,000 remasters, right? Just start doing it. I don't want that, okay? I really, really don't want that. But I do think once Mass Effect Legendary Edition works, and it will, and by the way, I guess you could also throw in maybe another negative in the Dead Space, wheel and say, well, in a way, that Legendary Edition is to get people back into Mass Effect because we have that new Mass Effect game coming. Now, that Mass Effect game is probably at least 2 to 3 years away. So, yes, we'll play Legendary Edition in the spring, but we won't be playing Mass Effect 4. Mass Effect will continue, right? Obviously, that's not going to be the name, but we won't be playing that Mass Effect game for another, like, at least 2 years after it. So, you could look at it that way and say, well, it's kind of promotion. It's kind of getting people back in that Mass Effect feel. I do think that's the case, but I also think they know what they have. That's, in my mind, the bigger thing. They know what they have in those games. It's a little different from like Crash and Spyro with Activision, where I feel like they did it solely because, well, okay, I guess not exactly. Like once you make the Insane trilogy for Crash, the team racing or nitro refueled as they called it. Like, you probably look at that as like a moneymaker, where I think the Insane Trilogy was more like, all right, we want to see if people still like this game or franchise so we can make more games, like new games in the Crash franchise. That's how and now maybe that's giving Activision too much like credit, like making them too nice. I think the same kind of thing for Spyro, honestly, as well. Mass Effect, again, it's kind of both, but I would think that it's also because, like, the bigger part is because people, they know how big the Mass Effect franchise is. They know that people really, including myself, by the way, I love Mass Effect. We loved Mass Effect 1 through 3. So going to Dead Space, the reason I said all that is because, well, if you make a Dead Space remaster, I don't think you're making it with the intention of making a Dead Space 4. So that's basically the point I'm making, is that, depending on how these companies go into these remasters, these collections, these remakes, these whatever, depending how they go into it, they could go into it thinking, well, we want to make money with it, which I think is what everybody always wants. But there's that. There's bringing back the franchise, but there's also testing the waters to see if you can make future things. And I think that does weigh in on it a little bit. Now, there's comparisons like crazy. You could go to Blue Point Games, right, who does the Sony remakes. They did Shadow of the Colossus. They did Demon's Souls. I mean, there is no hope of a Shadow, and there's no want. That's the bigger thing. There's nobody really wants, and they're not going to make Shadow of the Colossus 2. They're not going to make, Demon's Souls 2. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But it's to celebrate, really, what a special game, or what special games those games were. That would be what Dead Space would be. If you did a remaster for Dead Space, the third one isn't very good. And there's a long story with that too, of all the changes they needed to make that EA basically made them make. It's actually disgusting what happened to Dead Space 3. But that game aside, Dead Space 1 and 2 are some of the better games that's ever released. They're some of the better horror games that ever released. I mean, they're so good. They are so good, and I do think EA knows that. And again, I think with Mass Effect, they may look at that and say, hey, is there any other franchises that could do this kind of treatment, that could handle it? There are many. There are many. You could do Knights of the Old Republic. There's a lot of games that you could do a remaster of. Dead Space, I mean, come on. It's a trilogy. It's a 3-game trilogy. I do think it's possible. It's something that I'm not predicting. I'm not saying like it's going to happen, but I feel really good about that possibility. The thing is, obviously, they would have needed to have started working on this because, as we know, like, even Mass Effect Legendary Edition, like, they announced that very recently on N7 Day, comes out, who knows, February, March, April, somewhere in that range. That's fine. But obviously, they've been working on it for several years. So we're kind of talking about them in the present, but we have to think about them in the past. I think we should all be hoping, if we want a Dead Space remaster, that at some point, maybe they did the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect first, and they said, you know what? This, I think, is really going to work. I think this is really going to bring people back to Mass Effect. We have Dead Space. Dead Space is so loved. Why don't we get a remaster team on that and get that game up to current standards? You know what I mean? I think that would work really well. I think it's really smart. And who knows? And I mean, yes, the farther out, like, reaching thing would be, hey, if it sells like bonkers, could maybe get another team to work on Dead Space 4. I don't think it's not necessary, but I don't think it would be something that would be a nice thing to do, again, considering you destroyed your own studio and Visceral, and then you're going to give Dead Space 4 to somebody else. Dead Space, I think, is done. I don't really know if there'll be ever a Dead Space 4, but I do think we would get a remaster. I do think we could celebrate what Dead Space is, and then we could follow the Callisto Project for what the future of, that kind of a genre of games is, okay? So let me know, guys, in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think it's possible that we get the announcement next year? Do you think it's possible it releases next year? Let me know. As always, again, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you guys want to follow our Twitch channel, link for that is in the description below. Would really love to have you guys on any of these places that we do content on. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.